So what distinguishes us, versus the machines is emotions, right? So AI that you have used today, very efficient, is based on IQ, they can learn things faster, they develop things faster, but can they capture emotion, right? That's the questions. That's distinguish us as humans versus machines, robots, taxis, and movies, right? So this is something we're trying to address, right? Training AI to actually address the dimensions of emotions. This is exactly what your AI is going to go through. So a bit of statistics, right? Overall, 91% people prefer human agents. I do, right? Most of the time when we actually talk to the AI bot, we just say live chat, live chat, live chat. I just refuse to talk to the AI bot because automatically, even though the AI can be very interactive, they can actually answer your questions. But most of the time, I want a live person to understand my problem, right? If let's say I'm calling the telco or I'm calling the bank, right? So the thing is that everyone wants to do a live chat. They don't want to speak to a bot. And even though a live bot can give you all the information they want, and I believe, and I've actually tried some AI bots, they can actually solve your problem with banking. For instance, you say that, okay, I want to check the transaction that I've done probably 10 minutes ago is not going through. The AI can actually check that for you and say that, hey, it's in progress because of this problem and all that. However, most of the time you want to talk to a live agent saying that, hey, what's wrong with the transaction? Can you tell me? And then update me accordingly as well. So we want to talk to someone, right? So the studies prove that people want to talk to a live agent because, not because the information isn't there, but there isn't no interaction with emotions, right? The person doesn't talk to you, understand your problem, say hi to you in the way that you kind of like feel that you are being appreciated. Now, 45% of adults actually find that the customer service chatbots are unbearable, right? They are very good ones, but they're very bad ones that just repeat the question and again and again. And this is exactly true for most companies that uses AI bots. It's improving, but it's still not there yet. And 30% of them would actually use it for health chatbots, right? And 70% are very, very skeptical that, hey, I'm going to tell you a bit of my condition and then try to get me to a healthcare professional. And you probably wouldn't understand that because you can just tell me, yeah, this is your condition, could you just tell me? I mean, the thing about seeing a doctor most of the time or talking to a healthcare professional is not about just stating your symptoms. It's for the healthcare professional or whoever you're talking to understand your condition emotionally, to be empathetic to whatever you're talking about as well. So that's the reason why people do not want to engage on that. Now, there are a lot of people that use generative AI like ChatGPT, like myself and everyone here, right? I'm quite sure at least, 99% of everyone here have used ChatGPT to a certain extent. And only half of the people trust global AI, right? I mean, as in they trust AI. Why? Because they find that, okay, I mean, there's many stories about AI going to take over the world. AI is like, the story saying that AI is talking to each other right now and all that. Because why we don't trust AI? Because they are not humans like us, they are not emotional, right? They can process data very quickly, but there's no emotions involved. So why people prefer humans is, the key thing is empathy, right? As well as emotional affinity, that they actually understand you better. And at the same time, handling of more complex emotional issues, like when you start to express your anger, rather than the AI can just keep repeating saying that, is your problem solved, can I help you? But at least you can say that, okay, I understand that you're now very upset and all that, I'll try to help you. So it's an emotional attachment, talking to an agent or to someone that interacts with you. And of course, authenticity and trust, because you just feel that the AI is just a bot that just repeats again and again, versus someone who understands the emotions. And of course, emotional assurance and accountability, right? The person understands you, have a history behind you when they talk to you, and when you first ask about it, they say, hey, yes, I remember, right? You were having this problem, I understand your pain, I hope that you're feeling better today. So that's the emotional aspect that everyone wants to see. Right, so the real frontier we are scaling and talking about today is not about AIQ anymore. I think we have crossed the hurdle. I think everyone has used generative AI. They use AI to do research for them using ChatGPT or even DeepSeek, etc. And I think that hurdle has been kind of like crossed, right? So right now the hurdle we are trying to cross is about EQ. Now, what makes things successful is not about IQ. I think ever since like decades ago, when someone comes up with the whole concept about EQ, it's success in life, right? Be it in professional life or in business or even with whatever you're doing in school and all that, it's all about EQ. Obviously, we have heard about very highly, very genius people who actually have a very high IQ, succeeding in the world, but increasingly we are mentioning names, people hate them, right? But because they do not have EQ, right? They have very high IQ, they invented this, they send people to space or they send things to space, but however, the thing is that they do not understand the thing about emotional, right? How people interact in this world for thousands and thousands of years is not about all the inventions. Yes, the inventions help to have a paradigm shift for humans to the next, era and all that. But however, it's all about emotions that keeps people in power, that makes things run as humans. So this is where we want to do, right? Using AI to go towards exploring and developing EQ in AI. So emotional AI isn't a feature that we're looking at, right? Just a feature that adds on to already many features that we have, but it's actually a very foundational thing that we're trying to develop at the very basic level, right? We need effective communication, not just a very simple, empathetic tone that say that hi, thanks very much and all that, but it's a continuity to understand you, right? To understand your emotion as a person, just like how you will actually interact with someone, a friend that you just recently met, and a friend remembers you, right? Remembers your feelings, remembers the thoughts that you discussed before, and certain topics that you have certain feelings towards as well. This is what we want to develop AI to be going for the future, so that can help in various applications. Now, where AI falls short today, right? It forgets past emotional context. So ChatGPT is very smart right now, right? After you type through everything, you log in with your ID and all that, and not just ChatGPT, but also other AI as well. You remember exactly what you asked. You remember what are the topics you are very interested in, and they can actually, based on that, and develop certain things, right? Now, however, there's no continuity in terms of emotion. Like for instance, sometimes you just say, very quickly, help me check with this. Sometimes you have me check with that, develop these things like that. They won't remember the history of things they ask for, but they do not remember the emotional context of why you actually do that. So that's something that's not available right now. It struggles with a subtext, sarcasm, or sometimes you're just chatting and saying that, please help me research on Elon Musk, for instance, with certain sarcasm. They wouldn't understand that sarcasm, right? They just tell you all the text, all the information, hardcore information, but we are understanding why you're trying to ask him to research on that person with sarcasm, right? So it doesn't understand the emotional context of that, right? It misses the cultural nuances, right? So one thing about ChatGPT and the rest of any of the generative AI, you can do translation perfectly, right? For instance, you say translate this entire text to Chinese or translate this from Chinese to English. They can translate it very flawlessly. However, in any single translation, right, there is a cultural nuances. When people say something or some certain local lingo, it is never translated that easily. It gets into that context where, okay, I just translate word by word. But however, there's always an emotional aspect to culture. Understanding why people say certain that word may sound to you very normal, but it's actually a very angry word that's being expressed, right? So that's something that it needs to teach the machine to understand. There's an emotion attached to certain words, and it can mean certain things. And of course, you can't maintain the emotional coherence across the time and all that, because you only understand a certain time at this moment in time, and because it's pure mechanism. Now, what if we develop an engine that remembers all that, an emotional memory? Because right now it's all just purely logistic, I would say just logical memory, but there's no emotional memory. What makes us again human from the time we are born to now and probably to the day that we're lying on the deathbed is emotions, right? Emotions are tagged to memory. It's not just pure facts, figures and all that, it's emotions. Emotions tagged to certain facts, and that makes how we operate. And this is something that AI needs to learn. Now, what is longitudinal emotional memory? Essentially what it means is that it stretches a bit of time, and memory, the thing about memory, right, is actually sometimes it decays, sometimes it improves, and sometimes it gets mixed up and all that. This is all part of being humans. Doesn't mean that it's bad or good or things like that. Sometimes certain memories will decay. However, it becomes replaces with newer memories that's meant to actually enhance the experience and all that. So the whole idea of this is that we have a continuity of memory across a certain period of time versus pure hard facts. Yes, we can always check back history and all that, understand what we did before, and then say, yeah, we did that, we understand that. But however, it doesn't enhance the human experience of why we do not remember certain things because of certain emotional issues, and why we remember certain things in certain ways. Now, this is something that we can actually look into to develop the LLM for that as well. Now, of course, the multimodal fusion engine actually looks into multiple aspects of understanding the effects of combination of emotions, etc., and affecting the engine itself, and of course the emotion condition coding as well, right? Decoding the type of various parameters that goes into you, and understanding exactly what the parameters encompasses for you as well, right? And of course the cultural adaptation level, as I mentioned, culture is very important. No doubt everybody can speak English, right? But the concept of the thought process, depending if you are native speaker in English, obviously you will think in English like probably myself. But for Chinese speaker, a Japanese speaker, a Korean speaker, or even someone from anywhere else, right? Because their native language was never English. They were actually born speaking their language and then they learn English even though they are very fluent in that. But the first thing they think about when they kick the chair or something happened to them, they will just swear in their native language. And that actually forms, how they actually process. Now that process is very different probably from English in the sense, but even though yes, we do all understand English right now, but that actually have an effect on how you actually perform certain things or how you interact with people. So the cultural adaptation level is very important, and of course the personality anchors, right? Based on the fact that you interact with the AI to a certain extent, you understand your emotions, so that AI should develop a certain personality based on your emotions to interact with you, and that's someone that you can actually kind of like go forward towards as well. So emotion is a system problem, that's just not a style guide, right? So it is at the foundational level, at the engine level, and not just something you add on, towards whatever you're actually having. So what are the use cases? The first use case is actually healthcare, right? As I mentioned before, some people use chat, the live bot chats with health services, like talking to some, before you actually get to talk to the live doctor, they ask you certain questions saying that, okay, what's your problem, etc. and all that. So that a lot of times people hate that, right? Because you're talking to a bot and saying I'm having a pain. What is your pain? Do you feel this and all that? But however, there's no emotion at all, right? It's just saying that okay, I'll just assign it to the doctor. Or the worst case is saying that oh yeah, just having what I believe is a flu, right? Just going to get a flu tablet, which I will just send it over to you. Does that solve your problem? Seeing a doctor? No. Why sometimes people get to see a healthcare professional is you want someone to talk to understand your problem. Just if you wanted to just solve a very simple, like a cold or a fever, you can just go to over the counter at a pharmacy, get it, and then you get it done, right? But most of the time, you just want to say, I want to understand, does it go to is there a deeper problem that I have? Does it link to maybe probably COVID or things like that? That's why we want to have someone to talk to you, and believe it or not, we want someone emotional, someone real, to understand you and empathize with you. So definitely healthcare, right? At the same time, even in hospitals, most of the time when the doctors are trying to develop a report and all that, they need a certain help rather than just purely depending on just hard facts and all that. When they generate a medical report to you, if there is an emotional aspect where the report can actually help to empathize and understand your problem based on your personality, then you get the report that you want that let you understand yourself better, right? Of course, next thing is of course education, right? There are a lot of AI courses that runs throughout and people understand that they go through and the AI can actually teach a lot of things, but does the AI understand? Are you engaged at the moment in time? How do you feel? Do you feel bored? Do you feel engaged? Do you feel excited with the content that you are being delivered and all that? No, I mean there isn't such a thing. So this is an area that we can use this and actually start to develop that as well. Of course, retail, right? Based on moods and based on that, not just a few clicks. Like for instance, the big data that you can actually generate from all the e-commerce sites, you can just know that oh, you like this product because you've been buying that a lot, right? Or you've been browsing these certain products and then the AI will just tell you that okay, I'll start pushing in the thing. But does the AI understand at the moment in time what is your emotion when you click on that? Does it evoke good emotions, right, or good memories versus bad memories where you quickly skip it and just go to something else, right? So there's something that it's not available, and this is where application for emotion to understand your buying habits actually kicks in as well. Sorry, I just accidentally that. So entertainment. I think for those of us who actually played games before, right, especially single player games in RPG games or some games, for decades we've been trying to say that there have been jokes made about it, about NPCs, right, non-player characters in the games where it's just a couple of lines that they interact with you saying hi, how are you, and you complete this, thank you very much, etc. Things like that. However, despite that, or sometimes the NPC or the character that goes with you in your mission and all that, you actually gain an emotional attachment to the person, even though the character can just interact with few liners. We have done that before, right? Now imagine the power of this where now the non-playing character in the game is able to understand emotions, so not just fixed with a few liners to respond to you, but actually is able to respond to you like a real person in real life, understand emotions, get angry, interacts with you, and join you on your quest at the same time. It's not just a few liners saying that how do you feel, do we shouldn't attack, things like that, right? It actually tells you more things and feel, hey, we shouldn't go there because I feel it's not the right thing to do. You interact more with such games. What does it mean for games right now? Games today are highly interactive. It's no longer where you are actually fixed in a certain quest or certain mission that you need to complete. You can actually have go into a real world scenario where you can do many things that comes with different kind of scenarios, right? But however, character development is still pretty much a very, very robotic kind of interaction, meaning that there's certain interaction that's been pre-programmed and interact with you. But imagine a character that can understand you, remembers your emotions, right? And then able to interact you accordingly. I think that's a very good application in game. So that's something to look forward to. So static data are not enough. We need to learn from society, from interactions, from surveys, not just hardcore surveys where you're just putting 1 to 5. Does that understand your emotion from survey? It doesn't. So when you actually run a survey on forms or anything like that, do you understand where the people that you interview, what is their emotions when they answer that? Most of the time it's like when I just say that, okay, I feel happy enough, I'll just have most satisfied, most satisfied, most satisfied. Does it reflect what I truly feel? It doesn't. Or it just shows a neutrality. Does that reflect? No, because there are certain nuances that is unable to detect, right? So we need to actually understand, using this kind of technology, to understand what actually people feel from the data from the public, right? Generate so they can actually serve your customer or you serve your community better, right? So that's the area, getting real life data to actually work towards that. Real conversations, real emotional responses, and real criticisms, right? When you actually look into interacting with pure big data, you get that kind of information. You don't really get that. It's just pure data saying yes. Two extreme ends, right? When you do a survey, dissatisfied or extremely satisfied, of course in between as well. But does it really reflect how they feel? Because most of the time just click to click. But if you have an emotional AI that talks to them and asks how do you feel, and they can actually understand based on how fast you respond, the kind of words you use based on your cultural expectations and all that, you can get a very accurate data of how people actually respond. And of course, imagine rather than depending on centralized computation and all that, the power of it in local as a decentralized, right, on your phone itself. So imagine having that personal AI agent on your phone or any personal devices that you have versus waiting for connections back to the central server and all that. You actually have the power decentralized to understand on your phone, and phones and personal devices are getting very advanced right now with advanced storage, advanced computation power and all that. So even having that, so that means you have a low cost compute persistent memory because some of it is actually kept on your phone, right? And it develops a personality. Obviously, it's being backed up to the central server, but you still have that. And it is like a game. Think of it as like a game, but very much emotional. So what sets us apart, right? The models itself are, it has internal model emotional states. It sets certain emotional goals, right? For instance, comfort, challenges on you, and bonding with you, understanding you, and most important, empathy, right? That's what all human wants, empathy. And it routes across different agents based on the various role play itself, and more importantly, majority of it affects recognition, and of course there's a 90-day retention. That's what we want to achieve. So essentially, it's not, again, not just a chatbot that we don't like, but it is a presence. So, by a certain year, right, 2030, emotional intelligent agents will be the foundation. It's just very, back to the earlier, right? With how things are developing by the months and not no longer by the years, we could actually see it much earlier. But however, these agents will be the foundation. No longer just thought, but probably being quite prevalent in the market. But not because they compute better, which I think the current technology is doing much better than that, right? Because I'm just amazed every day how much ChatGPT can help me. But it is because they connect deeper with you. Right? Emotion as infrastructure, empathy as code, and connection as intelligence. So before I end this in the next slide, I think everyone, probably some of you will have already watched a movie called She, which was acted by Scarlett Johansson, who's actually the AI's voice, right? Versus who's that guy, the main actor, right? So it was an AI. The AI she was actually voicing as she, right? The AI was very interactive. She understands him to a lot of extent until he treats her like an actual girlfriend, right? Eventually, obviously, then she gains sentience, and then that's the end of the movie itself. But what that movie actually shows is exactly that. emotional AI, right? The AI can understand him, can even talk to him, laugh with him, cry with him, etc. The emotional bond. So that movie actually fully personifies like exactly what we are trying to do over here. So you have a chance to watch the movie, then you understand, and that's really the future. So the movie was actually kind of like a prophetic vision of what the future holds in terms of emotional AI and what AI brings for us. Thank you everyone for today, and yes, thank you.